Hey, what is up, guys? John here, aka Bruce Lee. I'm excited to do this video today. This one is Troy from 2004 with Brad Pitt. This is one of my favorite movies growing up all time. I'm not saying it's the best movie, like it's not like Godfather or like Interstellar or anything like that, but for me it was one of the most entertaining movies I'd ever watched, especially because like I'm a huge nerd of like Greco-Roman history. So like if you go back to like my university degree, like almost all of my options were like Greek and Roman studies. Or if you ask my friends, like I watch this movie like at least once a year, maybe more. I'm a martial arts teacher. I teach kickboxing, and I also do Muay Thai. I will be breaking down some of this, but at the end of the day, like I don't want to pretend to be a spear expert, a sword expert, or a weapons master by any means. So I might just like comment on the body mechanics of some stuff that I've noticed, but otherwise we're just gonna watch, react, have a good time. Before we get started, guys, please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy the video. Like because it helps me out big time, and subscribe so I can hang out with you again, and then comment any of your thoughts or just like any videos you think I should do next. Let's get started. I love the soundtrack.
Now you know who you're fighting.
So I wouldn't advise taking your helmet off for this kind of a duel, but what happened earlier in the movie, so spoiler alert, is that Hector killed his cousin Patroclus, who he thought was Achilles, because Patroclus was trained by Achilles and looked a lot like him. So he's hoping he'd killed the legendary hero, but instead he killed his cousin. And now Achilles has come back to take his revenge. That's cool. So that right there, where he jumps up and does essentially like a Superman mechanic. So right knee up, pull it back, and kind of like bang in the air, as we call that a Superman, like the mechanic anyways, like a Superman punch in like kickboxing. Very realistic, and the way he got a running start, it jumped up and went and like tried to use gravity to bring that spear down as well. All super cool. Lots of power. So what's interesting about that is, let's see like how he like flicks that spear in the air. It goes like this, bang, bang, bang. Like I don't know if those actually would really hurt or kill or like incapacitate you, but you know, like when I look really closely at the hand, I think like Hector actually could have like maybe hit his head or something, or hit it towards the base of the spear and knock that weapon right out of his Achilles' hand. So I don't know if it's like that realistic to be like dodging and be like whoa, whoa, when he's just flicking it like this. If you see like those videos of like Shaolin monks or like someone training with a bow staff, you can get some serious speed on a staff, and it can absolutely hurt. But in the case of what Achilles was doing, I don't know if that was it. But you know what? Sometimes in your Achilles, or let's say like Mike Tyson or Magnus Carlsen, like when you have that reputation behind you, you can afford to bluff and like fake some stuff, and people will react. So anyway, comment below what you think, if that's realistic or not. I love this guy's face. He always looks like he's like, he plays Hector's like father, and he always looks like he's taking a dump, or I don't know. I always thought this guy overacted a little bit. He's an amazing actor. That's an interesting move as well, trying to spear from behind your back. I don't know if that's practical other than having that swing afterwards. Broke the other guy's spear. Nice. So, actually, what's interesting about that, let's watch that interplay again. So, watch as Achilles comes in to do like 3 or 4 spear thrusts. And you see how like Hector went like bang, bang, and to knock that spear out of the way. What I learned about some of these medieval shields, and the reason that they're rounded, like the shape of like a turtle, is that if they're flat, right? If you imagine a flat shield made of wood or something, and like an arrow, it might find purchase, right? It might actually like get the grip it needs to puncture the shield. So if you watch like 300, that scene where they took like 1,000 arrows or like 1,000,000 arrows at once, and a bunch of arrows got caught in the shield, that's less likely to happen because the shield's rounded. So if you imagine like this, right? So it's flat, and the arrow or a spear like punctures through. If you actually like round the shield a bit like this, what happens is that like when you make impact with a sharp point, it just deflects off a lot more. So I think like Hector didn't need to go like bang, bang, bang. He just needs to put his shield up like this and just turn it ever so slightly and let the shield, as long as it doesn't hit the dead center, let the spear hit the side of the shield, and just a bit of a flick like this will send that spear deflecting or like kind of off course. Oh. I thought this sword, that's like unsheathing those swords is so cool. Now there's another like sauce situation for me. So right at the end here, Brad Pitt is gonna like extend his arm with the point of his spear and then also thrust his hip and extend his legs out in like a lunge position. Let's see that again. So that right there, he like extended his arm and got into this lunge position with his shield up. And kind of like flaring the wings of his shoulder blades out is kind of how I call it. And then like Hector goes like flying back. I don't know if just this, like the weight of his arm and his sword alone would push back the entire like man that's Hector, right? It's like the sword's maybe like 6-7 pounds typically for a gladius, and then his arm is like at most is like 15 pounds, right? But that shield could be up to like 30 pounds depending on how it's actually made. I don't know about the prop, but like the real shields back in the day can weigh quite a bit. So even with the hip thrust and the leg thrust from the back, I don't know if it would send Hector flying back like that. So comment below if you think this had the driving force to push someone back. I have my doubts, I don't know. But again, I'm not a sword master, so... Oh, it's so cool. Trying to find a hole in the guard. Ooh, that was a nice dirty little elbow. Hector's swinging a little wild there. I don't think people usually like, you know, like it's possibly because he's tired, but you don't need to use your sword like it's a hammer, right? You want like nice slicing motions, just keeping it tight to the body, and he's trying to get a little wide with those like hooking motions. Which is absolutely real. And then Achilles here brings his right knee up and jumps up. Another Superman style hit, and uses gravity to assist his force. Very cool. See, I like these cuts a bit more. So what they're doing now is like they're turning their sword, but they're keeping it in like they're keeping the sword or the blade of it more so in front of their torso as much as possible, so it's available to block. That's like the equivalent in kickboxing of keeping your hands up, right? Instead of doing like those wild, like super wide arc ones with the sword, especially like a gladius, I don't know if it really helps that much. So these nice like thinner cuts, or not thinner, but like tighter cuts, I think are more practical, and they finally landed a hit because of the speed. So just a nick though, just a nick. Oh. So if I was Hector here, I would actually go back for the shield first. I think that shield is like the first and last thing you carry with you. Instead, he crawls towards the spearhead.
Don't take my glory.
If I was Achilles, I also would not have ditched my shield. I think the shields, especially in that time, that Greco-Roman era, even without the strength of the phalanx, which is essentially like, it's not exactly, but let's just call it like a shield wall. You know, it's not a shield wall, but you know the phalanx is very similar in principle to that. Even without the power of the phalanx behind you, like having the shield is such an important part. Like look how big and heavy that shield is. You can use it for bashing, and it covers you usually from like chin. Or like cheekbone all the way to your like knees almost. So I don't know why you would ditch that other than like cockiness. You see these wild like wide arcing moves of Hector, maybe because he's tired and getting desperate. Like it's so easy to dodge. And also like the parts there where they're giving up their back, it wouldn't happen as much as you think, you guys. There are certain spinning techniques you want to use in sword combat or martial arts, but generally speaking, the amount that people spin and give up their back for more than like half a second in movies, I think is a little too much, including this one. You see like that there, like where Hector was there for like a few seconds. I'll try to pause it here in a good spot. So right there, he's like completely looked away. He's completely, like he has no idea what Achilles could be doing. Achilles could just kick him, slice the back of his neck, do a million things. It's like when you spin in kickboxing, you usually want to spin and get like, so if I'm trying to, if they're behind me, I'm spinning from here to here, I want my eyes to be the first thing that comes through so I can see what's happening. And he's not doing that exactly, and just kind of going a little wild here. Now, how much easier would that whole thing would have been if he just had a shield, right? But Achilles is showing off as well. This is so funny what happens here. That absolutely comes up. Like, when someone's like desperate and running towards you, just like swinging, there'll be a time where they actually leave themselves open, and you literally just push them back or kick them back. The equivalent would be doing like a left teep in Muay Thai, so like a left front kick. It comes up a lot more than you would think as people get tired. Like, a lot. Nice disarm. And kind of like does that windmill spinning to get like the momentum through, because you know, like even like because the armor is also rounded off at certain it's rounded off like this and like this. Sometimes spears were known to kind of deflect off a little bit, but he brings it down and really makes sure that it takes purchase, or like really like sets into the armor, and then by spinning that windmill thing, like it is a bit like a little extra, but he does get the momentum to definitely make sure he drives it through into the heart, or just past the armor and past the breastbone. Super cool. And then he gets stabbed here. So the only thing that knowing what I know now, he should have maybe aimed that sword a little bit lower. Because, again, like the breastbone here and then the armor are pretty thick. So it's not like you can't get through, especially with, like, the strength that Achilles has. But if you want to make sure it's, like, a good, solid kill, aiming it a bit lower, trying to tear out, like, in between the ribs or through the ribs, or, like, tearing that gut apart. Like, that would probably be more practical, but still super cool. So that was it, guys, for Troy. Again, I'm not giving it my usual like realism versus entertainment rating, because I'm not an expert. I don't claim to be an expert of swords or stuff like that. I just love this movie so much, and like knowing what I know of certain body mechanics now than I did like 7 years ago when I first started, or 8 years ago when I first started doing Muay Thai. I think I am able to see a few more things I didn't when I was growing up. But still love this scene. I think it's one of the best sword fighting scenes ever. And it's largely, in my opinion, it's largely pretty realistic. There's only a couple of like dramatizations, like again, like the whole like swinging the shield super wide. And then like what he's doing here, like stabbing him in the chest, like it'd be more practical. Just go for like a neck shot or a belly shot. But those are like nitpicking things. The only thing I do know that I didn't comment on during the video is that like a lot of the times Achilles is going off to his right to do those Superman hits with his right hand, which makes sense. But typically, I think with a shield, you actually want to move to the left. And here's why. Is that when you're holding your shield, and then you say your eyes have 180 degrees field of vision, you don't hold your shield like this. So it's not lined up with your body. You normally turn away to have that shield properly in front of you, which means the main weakness that most shield users have, like shields are amazing tools of war at that time, but you mainly have a blind spot on the outside of your peripheral right here on the left eye, okay? So with the helmet, it encourages that blockage even more, but even without, you do have a blind spot right here. So typically, you'd want to move to your left and get your opponent away from your blind spot. So that's one thing I don't know if it's applicable here because it's one-on-one. And again, I'm not a shield master, but that's something that I thought they were doing that didn't actually, or I presumed they were gonna do, but didn't actually happen. So a few little things are there. And then if you want to watch some cool like medieval like breakdowns or like testing out armor and shields, here is a link at the bottom. I think it's called like Iron Forge or something like that. I'll get their YouTube channel for you. Awesome stuff, documentary style, or like scientific. They really apply a scientific method to medieval warfare, and you can learn some really cool stuff. So that's it for now. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please leave a like to support the channel and subscribe to hang out with you again. Comment below your thoughts, and I'll see you next time. Bruce Lee is out.